So we're going to start with the healthy normal page, all right? So the healthy normal is something that it's my own work that I've been putting together for the past several years, and it's based in my own struggle with trying to identify what normal means. I know I've said several times I want to be normal, but didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. Also, I've had a lot of clients that say, I just want to be normal. Like, well, what does that mean? And so just through experience, I've put this together that we all are normal. We just have a healthy or unhealthy version of that. And I'm kind of in the process of changing that to peaceful versus chaotic. All right. So I'm going to start with that just by putting chaotic up here, because I think that that is easy to identify with. Okay, so before I go into this, I want to do a little bit about development in the brain, just so you can kind of see where I come from, all right? So first of all, I don't know what you guys know about developmental trauma. But research shows that based on your age, you should be in a developmental level of how to control yourself and control your emotions, right? So emotional control. Between the ages of 0 and let's say 5-ish, most of our emotional regulation or emotional control is going to be internal and internal, meaning, I'm sorry, I messed that up. It's going to be external and external. So the external is basically saying there's something going on with me. I don't know what that is. Mom, dad, guardian, caregiver, somebody tell me what that is, and you fix it. I've never seen a baby cry in the crib and say, my diaper is full, please help me, and then the parent comes and does it. Or I've never seen one change themselves. So this external control, we're stuck in this world of, I am dependent on you saying what is wrong with me and you fixing it. So every bit of emotional regulation is outside of myself. I'm crying, you solve that mystery and you fix it. So, you identify the trigger and others identify the solution. Around 6-ish to, 12-ish, we should be mastering the idea that we are internally recognizing our triggers, but we are still externally needing a solution. So this is where you start to see kids say, Mom, I'm hungry. Dad, I'm bored, right? They start to see that there's something going on inside of them, but I'm still dependent on other people trying to solve those mysteries for me. So the trigger is more inside, and then the solution is outside. Now I've got a 6-year-old son, I've got a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, but my 6-year-old, whenever he's thirsty, although I've had cups at his level since he was 3 and he knows how to get his own drinks, sometimes he'll just hold the cup and go, I'm like, okay, so he's still kind of in this, you solve it and you find it mode. And so teaching him how to use his words and say, you can tell me what's going on with you and then I'll help you. It's sort of a weird transition here. All right, well, in your teens and beyond, we should be at a place with internal recognition of the triggers and internal control. The research says that if we have had developmental trauma, let's say that we were traumatized in these ages or in this bracket, that although we're adults, we're still looking for other people to tell us what's wrong and how to fix it. Does that make sense? As an adult, I should say, I feel uncomfortable in this situation, so here's what I do to fix it. One of my clients went through a pretty ugly breakup. And he would always go and spend time with her at dance. And he said, I'm avoiding dance because I don't want to be around her. But really that means I'm running away and I'm weak and I'm not doing what I should be doing. Like, says who? I feel weird, tell me what to do. So I'm saying, well, you felt weird, so you're practicing self-care by staying away, but there's still this, I need validation from other people to tell me what I'm doing is okay. And there's so many things about trauma, but this is just one about trusting yourself and knowing how to take care of yourself. I have to imagine everybody in here has had something go wrong and somebody has said, stop being dramatic, I'll give you something to cry about, what's the big deal, but they've minimized it. And so the way I feel, I guess, is not okay, so somebody tell me how to feel. Good? Okay. All right, so this is important as we start to get into this chaotic normal and this peaceful normal, because what happens with a lot of people is we tend to be over here on this chaotic normal side. People come to the bridge, people come to my office and they say, I want peace. And I say, I don't think you do. I think in theory that's nice, but I don't know if you really do, which is, I don't usually get a good reaction. But the reason why I don't think that is because our brains understand chaos, probably more than they understand anything. So if I look at my chaotic language, I'm telling you, I know chaos, I know trauma, I know how to be in a crisis. I love it. I pretend I don't, so I guess that's what I'm supposed to do, but the reality is, give me a crisis over sitting in a library reading any day, I'd be so much happier. Because chaos is my first language. Where peace and being content is something that's pretty foreign to me. And so if I've grown up and my brain has really established this chaotic mode and I'm trying to be peaceful, well, things are going to get a little bit mixed up. So if you think about it like the English language, English is my first language. If I want to learn Spanish, I don't have that very well yet, and I've got to practice it, I've got to be in the middle of it, I've got to mess up, I've got to understand that whenever I don't do this well, I'm automatically going to go back to chaos, or I'm going to go back to English. One thing I find that my clients do is they say, I just need to get rid of the chaos, and then peace will grow. That's like saying, I'm just going to stop speaking English, and then Spanish is going to show up. It just doesn't make sense. So what this is for is to help you practice being peaceful and practice being in a content place. I don't know for you all, but I know for me that the worst trauma in my life has happened whenever I've been in a peaceful place. So peace kind of has, it has barbs around it. So even though I think I want peace, deep in my limbic system, my brain says, absolutely not, peace is dangerous. It's bad. Yep, and so I just said limbic system, and I talk about the brain a lot. And I do that more of, I think it's a great way to reduce shame. So we got our brain here, bad drawing, but just go with me. So we've got our front brain, and this is in charge of our thinking, our planning, our social skills. If we are shaming ourselves, we're shaming ourselves from this part where we should ourselves, right? Our limbic system is part of our front brain, but it's in charge of our drives, it's in charge of keeping our body in balance, it's in charge of survival, it's in charge of our sweat, sex drive, hunger drive, thirst drive. So if our body learns at this level, peace is dangerous, we can't unlearn that, right? It's like I don't need to learn how to react to a car accident. My body already knows how to do that. But yet we're trying to use this front brain to say, oh, I need to do it differently. This is like having a 5-year-old do your taxes. Good luck, right? So the limbic system is to keep the body in order. If I'm hungry, I can recognize that. I can't really control it, but I can see it and I can do something about it. So for me to try to control this is like saying, I've decided at this point I'm never going to go pee again. It's tacky. I'm not doing that. How soon am I going to pass out on the floor and pee myself? I don't care what the social skills are. The rules are my body's going to say, I don't give a damn what you say. This is going to become toxic, and so we're going to pee right here in front of your friends.
It's a reptilian brain, right?
It's part of your limbic system. Now the reptilian, yes, it's all part of that primal stuff. But that's also linked into our hindbrain, right? Our hindbrain is going to be vital functioning. This is going to be coordination, respiration, consciousness, breathing, all the stuff that we need to survive. So when somebody gets drunk and dies from an overdose, it's because this part gets so polluted, stuff shuts down, and the limbic system can't manage it, and so we've gotten to our reptilian part of our brain. Again, we can't control this. So, I want peace. Now, peace is dangerous, so I don't. And now I'm here at the bridge trying to figure out how to get peace. Make sense so far? So we've got a pretty interesting challenge that we're up against, just to start with. So here's how we fix it. Because we do have front brain, more front brain than other animals do, we can start to manipulate and maneuver some of this stuff. And that's what internal family systems is going to be about, and that's what this is. But we got to understand where we're coming from. All right, so when we're in this chaotic, normal pattern, a lot of us tend to be others focused. We have been reinforced for that. We've been punished for that. We've been trained. We have cultural, religious, gender, all these different expectations of what we're supposed to be and do. And a lot of us have been trained to be others focused. I need to take care of you. If you're okay, I'm okay. And that's just the bottom line. But when we do that, we don't get the skills to take care of ourselves, or when we make attempts at taking care of ourselves or growing our stuff, then there's either shame or whatever from other people, eventually just from ourselves, because we don't know how to do it. All right, so we find ourselves a lot of times in a toxic box. And what the toxic box is, in my mind, it's like a Skinner box. Do you guys know what that is? Okay, a Skinner box is this box that this guy named Skinner, a psychologist named Skinner, put a rat in. The rat was hungry, and there was a lever in the box. So the rat had to press the lever to get a pellet of food.
Yeah.
It's simple enough, right? But after a while, the rat was like, left hand, right hand, spin in a circle, sing happy birthday, turn purple. Where's my pellet? It would do these crazy antics to get a pellet. And that is so what we do for emotional food, right? Where maybe at first you can just say hi and things are good, and eventually you're having to do all these tricks in order to get any sort of attention. And so for me, in my mind, this toxic box is like an emotional Skinner box. If I don't know how to feed myself emotionally, I'm gonna have to do whatever it takes to get fed by somebody else. In my office, I've got a jar of beads. And so it's like the jar is your body and the beads are your emotional immune system. And so when you're over here, you're on empty. You're like, feed me, I'll do anything for a bead. I'm starving. I can't do this by myself. And so we do a lot of things. When we're over here, a lot of us have perceived or real expectations. And like the perceived are all like the societal norms and all the things that we've been told. And then there's real expectations of, if you do this, I will do this for you, right? If you become my emotional slave, I'll do anything for you, but you've got to pass my test all the time. And so we get told directly what we're supposed to do. When we're in this toxic box, some of us, and some of these may not apply to you, but there may be a sense of desperation. There may be a sense of begging. Please hear me, please see me, please validate me. Validation, tell me I'm okay. Waiting around, when's my next chore? We have high expectations that never seem to be met. Tell me who to be, what to be, where to be, when, why, and how we perform. I think that's one of my biggest ones that I've found with people. I think a lot of people over here have anti-performance anxiety, meaning if you give me a role, I'll nail it. If I don't have a role or some sort of thing that I need to do, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to just be in my own skin. I only know how to act. Does that make sense? Okay. And so we're in this like performance mode all the time. I've talked to people that say, I don't even know what I like. I like what you like. What do you like? And I'm going to jump on board with that because that makes sense to me. All right, we justify, we attention seek, we're insecure, needy, unseen, exhausted. You can see all of these. Is there anything I missed? Oh, we're walking on eggshells a lot of times. We're holding our breath. We take everything personally. We're hypervigilant. Why isn't that on there? Hyper B, right? We can only do this for so long, and we get exhausted, or we have lost every sense of ourselves or dignity, and we say, I am not doing this anymore, I'm done. So many people go into a place of isolation, where they say, I'm setting this boundary, I'm not doing this anymore. And so maybe consciously they shut down, they withdraw, or maybe unconsciously they get migraines, they head to the bar, they sexually act out, they self-harm. Workaholism is a great way to not have to do this game. And so they're up here not doing all this stuff for these other people, but yet they're isolated and they think that things are good, but after a very short period of time, they're not being fed, so now they're starving. Like they're going through the motions, and they can look in that box and say, I don't want to go back in that box, but I'm starving. So my options are sit here and starve or get back in that box. I hate it, but I can navigate it. Also, what happens, we got these two little people over here, because these people have had so much from the emotional slave in the toxic box, and I'm just going to say that we've all played both roles. So please know that this role switches back and forth, and it can do that in the same relationship. But if I'm taking care of somebody in an abundant way, when I stop taking care of them, there's a good chance they don't know how to take care of themselves, and they start to flip out when I disappear. And so then we've got the love and bully stuff going on. So this person is like, oh my gosh, I need you back in the box. I am so sorry. I love you so much. I'll never do this again. Get back in the box. I've got all of this stuff I will give you, and I promise I'll continue to give it to you forever. This will never quit. So this person says, okay, I'm going to get back in the box. And then what happens? Here's a bunch of pellets, and then I forget to feed you after 2 weeks. Right? And then we have this whole cycle that goes on. Eventually this person says, you know what, we always do this, you always put me back in the box, and I think that I'm just going to say no, because you never follow through with it. So the next tactic that is often used is, I will bully you back in the box. And that is usually with a silent treatment, game playing, trying to make you jealous. It's almost the idea of, there's a lot of other people who would be glad to be in this box, so I encourage you to get back in here, or you're going to sit up here and starve to death. So then we have this complicated mixed emotion of, I don't want to go back in, but what am I going to do if I don't? This might be my only opportunity to get back in that space. And it's such a mess in your head because, well, you know why, it just sucks. All right, any questions so far on this?
No.
Is this, okay. Is this hitting home with anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys are quiet. I don't know if it's because this is on. Like, this is
No,
intruding.
I've been told by another therapist that, like, I just kind of drew it. Imagine, like, that you're a teapot, right? And if you're putting in, like, let's say, for example, that this is a relationship, right? And if you put in stuff into the teapot, well, it stays pretty full. And if something were to happen, oh, they're late from work and dinner got ruined, then your teapot's full. It's like, oh, no big deal. I completely understand. But if that teapot gets completely empty and you're running on fumes, and that exact same thing happens, well then, an argument might pursue, or everything that they do is wrong because there's nothing inside. Whether, it's not necessarily that they need to fill up the teapot, but myself,
Absolutely.
it needs to be on full, because then it kind of dictates my reactions.
Absolutely. The way that I demonstrate that in the book is with cupcakes, because it's inner child stuff. So we've got 2 cupcakes, right?
Book.
I'm writing a book on this. And so we got extra large frosting. This cupcake has no frosting. This one has 45 pounds of frosting. And this one still isn't happy. Who can eat 45 pounds of frosting? It seems nice at first, but you're going to throw up, right? And so this one's giving everything away, frosting this cupcake. Then it's like, when's my turn? I need some frosting. I don't know what to do. Waiting for that to get returned. And so it's like, it's just so raw and sensitive about everything, and it's not ever fulfilled. And this one doesn't even understand what it's like to be hungry, so it doesn't have to give anything. The teapot sounds a little bit more adult. Maybe I need to switch it up. But the drawings are pretty entertaining with this. Okay, so yeah, like I am so dependent, or you're so dependent, or we get dependent on being taken care of. Relationships over here look like a 90 or 10%. One person's giving 90, one person's giving 10. It's like the ball's in somebody's court. So obviously here, this person's giving 90, then this one's giving 10%. And it's just this dynamic of who has the power. It's like a game of cat and mouse, like they're just chasing each other. Once you get the power, you don't want to let it go, right? And so we see a power shift when this person says, no more, I'm done. I'll give you everything I have, power shift, and that feels good for a minute, which really pulls that person back in. Relationships here are also, you can see them on a scale of 1 to 10. Things are awful or they're amazing. It's like Vegas and you're hitting the slots every single day and you're winning, right? Or you're in hell and there just is no middle ground. And the idea is to establish a middle ground. If this is what you know, if chaos is your first language, this sounds awful to a lot of people. It sounds so boring, like who wants to live there? So even the idea is kind of scary, and we end up staying in this 1 to 10, things are great or awful. What happens is because things are so consistent and we are able to learn things, right? Just the idea of a 10 now means, when is this going to drop? It's going to go to a 1, so I can't even enjoy a 10 anymore. So then we self-sabotage, or we look for things to fight about, or we try to create something because I know it's going to drop. I'll go ahead and start that process. That way I have some control. Which is kind of crappy because you can't even enjoy the happy moments. So then maybe after 10 years of this, your happiest moment is a 3. And you wonder why you're miserable. Well, because falling from here to here is a long drop. Falling from here to here isn't so bad. I've also seen people who in their own world because this is all that they understand, like with work or projects, like they'll be doing great and then they sabotage and ruin everything because their normal is building things back up.
Yeah.
Like that's the fun part. Who cares about the destination? This is the journey, right? I love that quote, but I need to know what I'm doing it for.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the fun part, right? Like I love the grind. I feel like I'm being productive. I know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm in control. I can pick up a mess. I love to pick up a mess.
Do you know that song "Everything Falls Apart" by Dog's Eye View?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's mine.
Is that it?
That's my life.
You're
Build
here.
it up.
For what? Just to crash down?
Intentionally have it crash down. So now I get there. I'm bored. I have no idea what to do with it. It doesn't feel good at all. Watch it fall all apart. You know, whatever it is, relationship, business,
Absolutely.
project, whatever. My finances, my savings build up a lot of money and fucking blow it.
Trash it. Yeah.
Get to a place where I'm going, holy shit, I don't have any money. I've got to borrow just to get through, and now it's exciting again.
Yes.
No,
So we end up having like a weird excitement with one. Where like one is like, oh, I get giddy about that because then like watch me grow. Like watch what I can do with this. You know, in my mind it's like I've got this glass house and I get it perfectly clean and it's spotless. I don't know what to do with it. So then I've got this other part of me that's like a tornado and comes in and just like destroys it. And then I'm mad, so I get to clean it again. It's just the process. I do a lot of gardening, and so this idea of cultivating is kind of foreign to me because I love the process. I don't know what to do with the food. I let it rot or give it away because I grow so much or I don't grow enough. And I've really got to learn how to cultivate, how to plant something, how to take care of something, how to grow something, and then how to eat it, how to prepare it. There's a big disconnect when it comes to preparing the stuff that I have grown because I don't know what to do with that, but that's my history. It's always been in process. When I get somewhere, I crash down, so don't ever get there. Keep things moving.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's an incredible coping skill to embrace that, right? Like I know how to do it, and so that's just my body adapting, but you know, I don't need to do that anymore because I'm not living in chaos.
I think I'm always, excuse me, blowing it, you know, always getting in way of myself, you know, all the way. That's the way my whole life has been, you know, build something up and boom.
Wipe it out.
Yeah. It seems like I'm about 10 years behind where I should be too, you know,
It's like you're stuck in a loop.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
And I see things that I want. You know, last week I realized that I have this never-ending to-do list. And so finally I wrote, why am I doing all this? What is the point of working? What is the point of doing this? I'm trying to set some goals instead of just having this never-ending to-do list. I can do things, but what's the point? Well, I want to do these trips and this and this and this, and I've never considered what I want. It's just, how do I stay in this thing? And I feel good.
I constantly have 3 to-do lists going and then I'm going through and checking off the list and then combining them all together instead of just freaking doing the stuff. Like, instead of just actually organizing my desk when it's on the list.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just, yeah.
Well, yeah, and you can't prioritize on the list. Everything on the list seems to have the same weight, whether it's, you know, dust the blinds or, you know, bandage this wound on my leg. Like, everything seems to have the same weight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It all has to get done. So,
And then you get to start a new list.
yeah.
And so I think the idea of cultivating, like, what is the point in getting this list done? So I can make a new one, so I can have a fresh piece of paper, and that's the most exciting thing in my life is to start a new list with neater handwriting. I mean, I feel like it just never freaking ends.
Or
And so,
organized into, the list is organized into better categories.
and then we put it on the computer, do it in Excel, and then that looks really nice.
Yeah.
It's just, that's what we know. And I think it's brilliant in the fact that whenever I was a child, I needed to stay in that go mode because if I ever got to my goal, then it was pulled out, so never reached the goal. Not a good way to be an adult. Not for me anyways. Now, I still have all those skills, and I really have to embrace those, and I still have to use those because I can't kill those skills expecting to be better, but I can use them, you know, for good things, I guess. Do you want me to pause it and wait for you? Okay. All right, so you all understand this though. Is there any thoughts or questions before I go to the other part? Oh,
Is the other part explain what to do about
it
this?
does, and it's like stupid simple. But It works. It totally works. I wish that she was in here for this, but I'm recording, so she doesn't have to be. On the back here,
Oh, will we get a copy of this recording?
if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've had people ask for it. I'm like, no, I don't. So I'm just doing it in case you want it. So on this back it says, is this your emotional range? I'm fine. I'm in crisis. Abandoned ship. That's it, right?
Yeah, although I'm fine is boring.
Yes. Exactly. So we have, I'm fine. I'm in crisis. Abandoned ship. On paper, I want to be fine. That is not true. Because if a crisis always follows I'm fine, I'm fine makes me nervous. It makes me bored, and I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do here. Where's the crisis? I'm going to go ahead and start this crisis, because if I have a crisis, I have an excuse to abandon ship with getting drunk, or overworking, or isolating, or binge eating, or whatever I want to do. I have an excuse because I was just in a crisis. I can do whatever the hell I want now. A crisis to me is way more entertaining than I'm fine. I can control this, I can predict this, and I know that the relief is coming with my abandoned ship. What happens with us when we've been doing this and we're too old to be doing this is we don't have anything in between. Maybe I'm just bored. That's not a crisis. Maybe I'm nervous. That's not a crisis. And so I've got to learn how to use other words and describe different things so that I can not always be here. Because this, I'm going to just destroy myself here. Then justify it with, well, I deserve to destroy myself because I just worked 90 hours. Right? Vacation, terrified of vacation. What am I going to do? I better bring 45 activities so I have something to do, because that's a crisis if I don't. Make sense? So that is a big deal. Another thing before we go on with this is I want to show you all.
I notice when I'm on vacation, it takes about 3 or 4 days to get into vacation mode. You know, because you're still thinking in that work area.
Yeah. And then whenever vacation comes to an end, is that panic mode too?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because I don't want to go back.
Well, I won't even let myself go on a fucking vacation. Because it's gotta be perfect, right? If I go to Hawaii, I don't wanna go to Hawaii and miss like the 12 things that I should have done. And then, you know, X, Y, and Z needs to happen, and go here and go there, and then it becomes a fucking chore. Now I've got activities lined up the whole time.
Like a big itinerary.
When am I gonna have to cover my thing? And now it's not even a vacation. It's like I've got to hit all these things. And so guess how many times I've been to Hawaii? None. But I've been
Well, then having to
telling
arrange your
myself
life
about it
while you're
for
gone.
5 minutes. What?
Like having to arrange everything while you're gone, and I don't, it's so stressful.
Right. Well, and then I go, well, if I can't do everything
What's the
there,
point?
then I don't want to do it. But everything there ends up making that trip cost, you know, $15,000 instead of $5 or whatever it is.
Right.
It doesn't matter. And then I go, $15,000 for a vacation. That's preposterous. I'm not doing it. I don't go.
I won't go.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can't remember that. I've gone on like little things where it's like, I live in Florida, so it's like, oh, we're going down to the Keys for the weekend, but it's like, we're going down, and we're going on a dive trip all day, and this is what we're doing. Like if it was like, hey, we're going down there and we're just gonna sit on the beach for a day, I'd lose my fucking mind.
Like I can't handle that. I'm a nervous wreck. Yeah. Well, and I have this idea that if I stop moving, I'll never start again. Once I shut down, I'm never gonna wake back up.
We're doing step work. Once I start, I'm like, I don't want to start writing until I have a long period where I can write, because once I start writing, I don't want to stop.
Right.
Right.
It's on or off.
Yeah.
And that is really kind of like this 1 or 10, but that's also developmentally the way somebody under 10 years old would think. It's that black or white thinking that that's what we have as kids. And so if our trauma happened when we were kids, that's where we're still functioning. I don't think it's okay to say, I'm going to do this until I need to do something else. I hear somebody's voice in my head, not like I'm psychotic, but I hear something saying, no, you've got to finish it all the way to the end, or you're whatever. No, I don't. But that is foreign to me because I wasn't taught that that's okay. Looking for other people to tell me what to do. We were just talking about emotional range being fine, I'm in crisis, abandoned ship, and how we say I want to be fine, but we don't, because fine always leads to crisis. And then if we have a crisis, we can justify our abandoned ship, which will be drinking or doing whatever your isolation of choice would be, or your abandonship would be.
How come I am different? I'm different for a lot of reasons, but
Good.
on vacation, I want to just sit and enjoy. You know, I'm not like Rob. I don't want to be doing all this stuff, but my favorite part is just sitting there and watching the mountain stream go by. You know, is there a reason for that we're that different, or?
Maybe you just got into the place in your life where you're able to sit still. You know, you did say it takes 2 or 3 days to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you can unwind enough, then you are able to sit there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that just comes with life experience too.
Okay.
And so we get little glimpses of that. We don't know what to do with it, but you've started to trust that you can sit there and
Mm-hmm.
just be still, where other people may not trust that yet
Mm-hmm.
because they don't know what to do. It's like being thrown in a foreign country without knowing the language. And if peace and being content has barbs around it, but that's dangerous, you know, I better keep myself busy or primed so when something happens, I'm ready.
Okay.
All right, let's see if I missed anything. I don't think I did. Oh, yes I did. Okay, so something else that I came up with a client here at the bridge was this idea of spreading this out, the find, crisis, abandon ship, and let's just put it towards anxiety or maybe just freaking out on somebody, right? Let's just say we have anger management issues and we get mad or lose control of ourselves over really small things. Either we ignore it or we lose it. Does that sound relevant for you all?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a big deal or it's the end of the world. So what I've done, and I'm going to refer back to this with internal
Would you say
family
either we
systems.
ignore it or we lose it?
If we just stuff it, it's not a big deal.
Oh, gotcha.
Or we lose control.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it's usually like the straw that breaks the camel's back that we lose it on. In a really inappropriate place.
Yeah.
Like Walmart.
Yeah.
Alright. So nobody taught me what to do with anger except to just shut up, but not to have it, because that's just not ladylike, I guess, which really fit that model anyways. So I've learned, looking at internal family systems, and we're going to talk about the firefighter later, the firefighter part of us is the one that's really reactive. That is like our crisis response team. It's like calling 911 when we have a crisis, and we need that part of us. I would call 911 when the coffee pot was empty, metaphorically speaking. That is unnecessary, but I didn't know what else to do. And so looking at this scale of 1 to 10, I can say, self, I'm just going to rate this scenario that I'm in that I'm trying to lose control of myself over. What is it? If it's a 3, I don't need to call 911. So what do I need to do? So I like to break this down into these different levels. So if it's a 1 or a 2, for me, I need to acknowledge that I'm annoyed and I need to suck it up. Maybe you need to do something different, but for me, I can deal with some things. I've dealt with a lot. I can deal with being at a red light, not a crisis. So I'm going to acknowledge and just deal with it. I'll say, self, stop being such a baby. Now, when I get to a 3 or 4, this is where I usually lose control of myself. Because I'm getting frustrated, my energy's building up, and I'm feeling a little trapped. Feeling trapped for me is a huge, huge trigger. I feel like I'm stuck somewhere. And so then I'm just like this volcano ready to erupt. And really, it's not a crisis, but in my mind, something's happening where I think it is. So on a scale of 1 to 10, a 3 or 4 to me is like, there's a person at the Walmart here in our town, and she is really slow when she checks you out, and you don't know that you're in her line until you've been there for an hour, and you realize that I'm here for the rest of the damn day, and I guess being a raging narcissist, I guess my time is more important than anybody else's in the universe, and my groceries should be done quicker. So I'm not okay with that. I'm feeling overwhelmed and mad and pissed and just escalating so fast. So I need to acknowledge that I'm trying to make a crisis out of a slow grocery line. And something that I can do here is I can cope, but my favorite thing to do here is to lean in. And what I mean by that is I am stuck in this line. What can I do to occupy my time? I'm sure I've got 6,000 emails I can go through. I'm sure I can respond to text messages. I'm sure I can play Candy Crush. I'm sure I can catch up on celebrity gossip. Maybe I can say, hi, how are you? And I can have a conversation, which I did one time, and she was super, super nice, and I felt like a big asshole because she was a really nice lady. Does that make sense?
I find kind of interesting that there's a person at Walmart that you see on a regular basis that you know has a crappy line.
Yes.
Sorry.
Well, I always find it like that's just my life. Is I will
Yeah.
find her line. Like that's God's way of saying practice patience. And I'm like,
Like the same line.
always, and she moves around, and I'm like, God damn it! Just it's stuck in her line
The
again.
same thing where I'll be like, okay, Rob, you're gonna be better with time. This thing is 15 minutes away. I'm gonna leave 20 minutes early, and I will find the traffic, the accidents, the whatever. Guaranteed, that'll make me late.
There's always a white car in front of me. I don't care where it is.
Mm-hmm.
God says, here's a white tourist that's going to get in front of you and make you go 10 miles slower every single day.
Yeah,
If I can lean into that.
and I feel like the universe does that to me on purpose.
It probably does. It's probably a good opportunity.
It's growth. It's another fucking growth opportunity.
It's an opportunity. Even talking about that, I can see that your skin color is changing and you're feeling nervous.
It gets me angry.
And you're like, like, yes, it makes me angry too because I feel like I'm completely out of control. And I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so that's a good reason to just lose control of myself, right?
So lean in is a way of find something else to
Find
do.
something to do. I had a friend that teaches with me at Western. I walked past her in the hall and I said, hi, how are you? She completely ignored me. Okay, so all of a sudden I'm like, you want to do that? Let's play that game. I won't talk to you forever. I don't care if I was in your wedding. We'll never be friends again. Just getting psychotic. I was like 32, and I'm acting like a 15-year-old. And so my brain automatically jumped to this crazy world. Later, I was able to de-escalate, and I said, you know what, maybe I should ask her what happened. So I said, hey, I said hi to you earlier. You didn't say anything to me. Is everything okay? She said, no, it's not. My mom is sick. My kids have been crazy. Oh my God, my life is like a disaster right now. I bet she really needed her best friend to act like a jackass and to start playing mind games with her because I was not in control of myself. So there's times where we want to address people, but we don't because we think worst case scenario instead of saying, hey, did you hear me? Are things okay? Did I say that in a way that maybe you heard it incorrectly? It resolves so much stuff and it can cause us to de-escalate. So that's important to know. 5 or 6 is where I like to assess for real danger. For real, I'll put triple X there, right? And I make requests. And so, if I can make requests either to myself or other people, look, I'm going to ask that you all give me a little bit of space right now. I'm just kind of in a weird mood. Can you just give me a little bit of space? Usually people will respond to that. Or I can say, you know what, self, I need to take a little bit of space. So go ahead and take that. It's not this crazy chaotic thing, but I'm just making a request, and with that request I can start to de-escalate. If it is a situation where I'm not safe, I get up here to this 7 and 8, and this is where I make demands. This is where I get a little crazy, and then if I go crazy, it's their fault. Just kind of nice, right? Like with my kids, when they just are pushing and pushing and pushing, I get to the point where I'm like, I'm not kidding. If this continues, I'm going to lose control of myself. Do you all understand me? At that point, I don't know what's going to happen, and it's going to be your fault. Then they usually leave me alone. But this is because I've already gone through all this, and they're just still acting crazy. And so I'm at the fine line of, please follow me around. Let's see what happens. I'm ready to go crazy now. And then they don't want to do that. Not that I've ever gone crazy, but I know that there's times where I've been really, really close, where I go from here to here over nothing. And this just kind of puts that final thing there of, okay, I don't need to lose control unless this is a real crisis. Now, if it's a real crisis, lose your shit. Call the news. Make a scene. And just do whatever you gotta do. And I love that we get to keep that in our back pocket of, oh, there's a really crazy part of me that I need to use when it's necessary. I've never done that with my kids. I haven't done it once I started realizing this. And so I don't have to do all the overcompensation and regrouping that I had to do in the past. Does that make sense? And is this helpful? I know somebody who was in her master's program that I was working with, and she had like 45 things to do, and she was a wedding, and she was doing all this stuff. And so for a week, she was on bull in a china shop, business only mode. Was not being social, was not being friendly, was not being her normal self. And so after that week was over, she dropped down to not doing anything to overcompensate for working so hard because she wanted to be a friend. Well, all that did was build up 2 more weeks of crap that she had to do at a 10 and not be friendly. So it was this big cycle. Instead of saying, I had to do this because I needed to be in that mode. Hey guys, thank you for supporting me and understanding that that was a tough week. I'm sorry if I was not very attentive, but I just had so much to do. Instead of doing nothing and then trying to fix it.
So she easily could have slowly gone back down, de-escalated, instead of just basically jumping back down to 1,
Right.
and then back up, and then
Just like ignoring everything, like, okay, I'm just gonna it's
Yeah.
fine.
one extreme to the other.
Right, and instead it was, no, she absolutely needed to be on that mode. And then she can just come back to kind of neutral, right? So hopefully this helps. I know it's a little side route, but hopefully that this is helpful when you're kind of looking at where you are with your own ranges. Okay, so here's what we do on the other side. This healthy normal pattern is self-focused. Some people hear this and they say selfish. It is not selfish by any means. It's self-focused. Just like you were saying, I need to take care of my own teapot. I need to have my own water in there so that when something happens, I'm not so affected. So with the beads in the jar, I need to be halfway full all the time. I don't ever need to be starving. Because if I'm starving, I'm going to be desperate. I need to keep myself at least at 50-50. That's my job. And so what we look at here are behaviors that serve your higher purpose, or your authentic self, or your genuine self, whatever you want to say. It's the part of me that can wake up in the morning and say, yay, it's a new day, I'm excited to be alive, not what horrible things are going to happen today. I'm supposed to be in a happy world. Like, it's my right to feel good. And so there are things that I already do that I know make that happen. So essentially it's, what are the things I do in my life already that put beads in my jar that I can own? I'll put beads in y'all's jar all day, but taking care of myself has always been a chore, or I do it whenever everything else is done. So this is basically discipline. What are the things you know you need to do? So some of my things, I like to get up at 6:15. Do I every day? No. I know that makes me feel good if I do, because then I get to just spend a couple hours piddling around. I love that when I can. I like to make my bed in the morning. Not a crisis if I don't, but it's something that I do. I take that extra 3 minutes for myself and say, okay, I would make everybody else's bed. I need to make my own bed. I need to eat healthy. If I'm in a bad place, you better believe I'm starting the day with a donut, and then I'm hiding in a closet somewhere and shoving donuts in my face, having sugar highs and lows, being crazy all day, right? It makes me feel good to do yoga. It's one of those things that it's not a luxury, it's something that I have to do for myself. This is TMI, but it is important. I need to take a shower at night. I need to be in bed by 10. I need to get 10 hours of sleep. If I get in bed at 9:30, I like me and the kids get in bed and I read with them. There's just certain things that I love to do that makes me feel like I am finding my balance. So here's what happens. Let's say that, I don't need to drink. Like that's not helping anything. I'm gonna put that on there. So let's say that tonight I get super drunk, right? Because I've had a stressful day. So then tomorrow I wake up at 9 and I don't make my bed because I'm already running around like crazy. My chemicals in my body are all jacked up, so now I'm eating just really unhealthy stuff and I can never seem to fill that void. I feel like crap because I ate too much. I'm not doing yoga today because I feel horrible. So I don't do that. It gets to be nighttime and I think, well, I haven't exercised, so I don't really need to take a shower. So I don't take a shower. I feel itchy and just weird all night, so I don't fall asleep. I don't get any sleep. And now it's Monday or it's Sunday and I'm still in this loop. And as I'm doing this, my stuff, my jar is so empty and I am so affected by, please tell me I'm okay. Do you like this about me? Is this okay? And I'm questioning everything about myself because there's nothing there anymore. And so just like somebody or anybody who has a compromised immune system, they have to be pristine with taking care of it. I have a compromised emotional immune system and I have got to keep it up to par all the time or do the best I can or I'm gonna crash and burn. And once I crash and burn, I'm over here in this toxic area trying to sift through an invisible circus. And I'm missing out on being who I need to be. It's almost like there's like a veil that goes over me, so I can't even find myself. I get so distant from who I am because I'm spinning over here in my first language. Does that make sense? I know it's really simple, and I think it would be great if parents would teach their kids the reason why you do this stuff is so that you can take care of yourself, not because I said so or I'm going to spank you if you don't. It's important to create a foundation so whenever you're struggling, you can say, here's my recipe to get better. Because I guarantee everybody in here has a recipe for me, and it's going to be self-serving or whatever, it's going to be based in your own world, and it's going to put me back in that chameleon performance mode. I'm going to be something for you and for you and for you and for you, but it's taking away from what I am. Over here, it's important that I say no. If somebody says, hey, let's go out and do something, and I'm missing yoga, I don't have to do it every day, but if I just know where I am and I can be aware of that, I can say, you know what, I need to go do this first, and then will you join me or can we meet up later? It's not uncommon to say, okay, I'll ditch all my stuff, what do you need? And then we end up just putting all of our stuff off and then we're resentful because we're sinking. And if I'm resentful, I'm in crisis, now I can abandon ship and justify it. It's your fault that I had to get drunk. It's your fault that I had to binge eat because you made me. It goes way into this developmental, I don't have control of myself. Relationships here are 50-50. Now, obviously, it's not always like that, but it comes out in the wash where they're pretty balanced. So these are the people in our life that we don't pay a lot of attention to usually. They're low maintenance. They're the ones that are on our team. They celebrate our successes. They call us on our bullshit. They're not as exciting because they're consistent. So if you think about those people, it takes a few moments for them to pop in your head because they're usually not the ones that are getting the spotlight. Can you all think of some?
That's most of my group of friends is like that. I'm the one that's
Hanging everywhere?
yeah.
Good for you that you have that, because then you already have that collection that you can move into. A lot of people have a really hard time finding that. Your 1 to 10 looks like 1 to 10, but we also have this 5-6 that I used to be terrified of, but really it's a really cool place to be. Those are trees and flowers, whatever you need them to be. It's a projective house. So what I've learned is doing this stuff allows me to set up my house right here to 5 or 6. I need to be able to return to my baseline and say, yay, I am here. But what it has done more than anything is it allows me to have really incredible 10s without the worry of a 1, without the self-sabotage needed to drop everything back down, because it's going to, so I might as well go ahead and put myself there. I get to go to Las Vegas, win, and then come home. How nice is that? I don't have to have that extreme drop, so I can really enjoy it. I can be fine because I know I'm just coming back here. I've already set this up. If I have a bad time, I can cope with that, and I can use these skills to climb back up here. But I don't get a weird excitement about it because that's like, this is now my home, not this. I can use those skills. I don't want to get rid of them, but that's not where I find myself all the time. Does that make sense? Is this kind of scary, like this 5-6 living there boring? Is that thought? See, to me, I was like, it's so beige. But now it's not, because I need to live at beige so I can enjoy bright colors. And I can come back. These flags on here are supposed to be representative of the flags in your life that indicate that you're crossing the line. What are your flags? For me, saying screw it is a big one. Well, screw it, F it, I'm done, I don't care. Those words to me say I'm getting ready to just jump fence. I don't care, what's the point? And so I just need to know that. Now I can say that and continue with bad behavior, or I can say that and do something about it. It's just the awareness. That way there's no mystery about what happened. For some people it's comparing yourselves to others. Some people it's, I'm not sure, taking things personally all the time. Self-hatred. You know what yours are.
I'm perfect. For mine, I think a big one for me is when I start saying tomorrow or next week. Tomorrow I'm gonna, next week I'm really gonna start this prospecting for work. Which means I just said I'm not fucking doing it now.
I am done. Right, I'm not doing it. So it's good to know that, because then you can say, okay, I'm allowed to say that, but I don't need to spiral myself so deep. I can know that. Now, if you're over here, I find that it's like we're standing on this hill. We've got all this negative, chaotic stuff going on, and we've got good, positive things in our life. And because this has been such our focus, it's like we've got a telescope and we're so honed in on all this craziness that we've got people that love us, our kids, our families, our friends, activities that we love and enjoy behind us, like, Sarah, hey, will you hang out with me? No, I'm busy. I'm trying to solve this mystery. So I'm completely blowing off and disregarding the things that really grow in my life and that they're positive, because I'm so concerned about this, because there was some sort of conditioned idea that if I look back here, I'm being selfish. This is never going to go away. There's always going to be an invisible circus. This is so deep that I can never solve this. But I can turn back and get back to my business and focus on my stuff, what I need to be doing. And if this pisses somebody off, good. Good. You know, be pissed off, just do it on your side of the fence. I've got too much to do. And so when our teapot is full, right, where we're halfway frosted, then I can say, I get that you're upset, but I can't do anything about that. You need more from me than what I have to offer. You want $1 million? I'm not the one. And instead of me scrounging to try to get it, I just say, I've got to get back to my stuff. And you'll see people throw fits. You'll see them lose control of themselves. This may actually start to feel like you're in isolation, like, oh no, they're leaving me. Good. Let them. Either they'll go away and find their own, or put somebody else over here, or they're going to adapt. When they show up in your world, they're going to be 50-50, because they've learned how to adjust to that. Does that make sense? I have a family member that we do this with all the time, because he loves to have somebody in his toxic box. I'll just say it's my brother, and he knows. He says that I can use him. He loves to be taken care of, and so whenever he's in crisis, I want to jump ship and help him, right? And I'm ignoring all these other things. And so now it's just like we'll go in these big waves of time where we don't talk for like 2 months, because I just have stuff to do instead of waiting around to try to figure out how I can take care of him. And so it's nice that we do meet in the middle, but if he's not there, that's okay. I don't lose control of myself over that. Another way to see it is if I had a peanut allergy and I said, or you said, I need you to eat these peanut butter cookies, and I said, no, I can't, I'll die. And if you want to throw a fit over that, throw a fit. I still can't eat them, and that's on you. So with the, it's not my shame stuff, right? If you can't handle my boundaries, then I won't take that personally. Does that help?
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
So do you guys know what your healthy normal stuff is?
Yeah, I have something that I use on my cell phone, my iPhone. Like, it's called it's WAG, Week at a Glance. So WAAG. And it's color coded to where I can put something that's work, personal, like me time, right? It has nothing to do with anybody else. Like home, health, so like gym time, whatever. And if I don't sit down on Sunday at a quiet time and do that, and I don't fill it up, if I don't fill it up, then I'll get lost in fucking around, like on my phone or my computer or my pets or outside. Which is, if I allot myself that time, like go outside and just whatever, then it's cool. Then I'm like, all right, I got an hour to do that, and then I'm gonna go back into work. But if I don't mark it, if I say, oh, you know what, I know what I gotta do this week. I don't need to. I need to do my WAG. Then I'm just like, I don't go to the gym. I don't go to extra classes. All I do is the 1 or 2 things, which is play with my pets and fucking chill out at my house, because it's cool. But it's not cool because then I'm not getting shit done, and internally I'm beating myself up for, oh, I didn't do that work project. I didn't do my personal me time stuff and whatever.
So that is a huge example of being mindful, too. Because I know whenever you say, I've got an hour here and I've got this, you can be fully into that hour. But if you don't have it, I have to assume that while you're playing with your pets, you're killing yourself inside on all the things that you have to do.
Yeah.
So you're fragmented while you're doing anything. And it's a big mess. And then all that guilt starts to spiral you down and tell me I'm okay.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. Like if I go over, then sometimes I'll be like, oh, well then, I can easily just move things around.
Not a crisis.
Yeah, it's not a crisis at all, but it's whenever I don't. If I leave spaces to like, I got all this time to just whatever, I'll fill it in.
That's your red flag.
That's my time where I'm just like,
Candy Crush.
I had to delete that after level, I don't know, 700 and something.
I refuse to let myself get an Xbox or a PlayStation because I know
Because
what'll happen.
And so some people would say, well, that's avoiding and that's not something. I think that's brilliant. Like, you know what you have to do. Mornings suck for me, and my kids are crazy in the morning, so I am not good. So on Sunday, I'll have a better week if I have these little organizers and I get all their clothes, underpants, socks, everything, ready for the week. So that in the morning, and it is neurotic, I get made fun of it, but you know what? I'm going to be crazy if I don't, and screaming at the kids. And so it's just that one little thing that helps my week go smoother, because I know that that's a frantic place for me. And once I start getting frantic, game on. I know what to do here. Stay frantic.
I like to do that review. I just use my friend Peter, which obviously nobody here knows. So, but he's in that group of normal people that I have. Well, he works really hard and all that stuff, and so I'll talk to him on Sundays and I'll be like, well, I'm just lounging around the house. I might watch, I don't know, Game of Thrones reruns or something. You can come over. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, no, I can't do. My review for the week might take, most of Sunday.
Right.
I don't know how to like. Okay, great. Okay, I got my maybe neurotic thing for lineup for my kids' clothes, right? I don't have kids, but using
Right.
your example. But then I would turn it into like,
Rearranging the whole room.
yeah, and then finding a new system for this, and here's their, maybe I'll meal prep everything for the week, and like it
It's
just.
a good thing we're not in the same house. Be like, it's very neurotic.
Or I'll have that and I'll go, fuck it,
Fuck it, I'm not doing anything.
not doing anything.
Yep. And so I like the idea of scheduling it out, because then you can be fully present in it. And the one thing about this is we have to practice. It's really hard for me to start a project and then after an hour say, I'm going to put this down. I start it and finish it. I don't care if I haven't slept for days. I will push myself. That is not healthy, and I'm missing out on other things, because then I get resentful that I missed all this other stuff, and right? And so with that, you may need to say, I am going to practice doing this for 1 hour, and then I'm going to stop, and it's going to be terribly uncomfortable, but I'm going to practice that. Because if you continue with it, it builds more chemicals in your brain that say, keep this crisis going.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're desensitizing yourself. Okay, so you guys can take a quick break.